I think we need to give attention to what we live without and whether it's necessary to live without those things. If we live without passion, if we live without creativity, if we live without meaning, if we live without beauty, what is the point, really? I think that we get so accustomed when we're young to living without, to doing without, to being deprived of the really essential things in life. The most basic things are your creativity, your joy. That is one of the most basic human things that you come into the world with. Possessing it naturally is just a natural gift you have. And if we are taught from day one, we won't have what we need to actually be loved, be cared for, be seen as important, as real. We may develop a neurosis. We may develop a fear that never goes away, that we will always be working to deny or hide or somehow compensate for. We don't really know that something has been amputated from our soul. We don't really realize it because it started so early. It started before we started to school. But once we got into school, boy, it came in spades. And by the time we got out, it had been so long since we felt real joy, we've forgotten about it. We we see our possibilities as expediencies. They are things we have to do just to survive. That's a hell of a way to live. I really think we need to completely revamp our whole way of growing up, our whole way of parenting children, our whole way of education, how we learn, whether we get trained in abstract thought or closeness to nature and observation of nature and trust in our own intuition and creativity or not. We are taught to follow orders, be quiet, sit down, don't move around. And for some people, that is torture. That's just straight up torture. Getting through it and performing, for some of us, it's not even possible to get through it. We just get out of that system as soon as we can. But then we get out of it with an inferiority complex. We think we failed. We start life with that sense that we're a failure. And if we're able to stand the regimen and go on to higher education, then we're proud of ourselves, but we're half a human being. We hardly know what nature is. We hardly know what creativity is. But we've learned the ropes and we know how to get by at a high level. What do you think about that? I think it's stupid myself. I think what we need to do is start when we're children and play, learn to have joy and creativity all through our educated years. Our education needs to include joy and play. What we have is drudgery. What we have is following orders and getting graded for it. And it's a soul killing system. We all sense this. This is not news. It's just that it is so widespread and so constant, and the alternatives are non existent, that we don't actually think we can do anything about it. Well, there are people who do try to do something about it. You know, we have the Waldorf schools and we have various systems and so on. They're all imperfect, and none of them are the panacea they may say they are, but they may be better than mainstream education, which is so perfunctory and so routine, and it is a mass production system where you're expected to do what everyone else does. And it's really unfortunate for children. It's painful. So if we're going to find some real meaning, if we're going to find that real joy of living, we're kind of on our own on that. We're going to have to say, okay, now I realize it has been prohibited for me to be full of joy, and I've adapted to that system. And I don't accept it intellectually, and I'm going to figure out a way to get back to nature, get back to my own nature, get back to something in me that really wants to be in this life with enthusiasm. That's kind of an individual project. You're not going to find it in mainstream education. It's just not there. So that's what I recommend. Is there are people in the world who talk about this subject and who give insights, and maybe they can't really revamp the system that the extant system that we see everywhere, but ideas have power, ideas have force. And as long as we are investigating the subject and we are talking about it and we're searching for something better and letting the world know what we find out, maybe eventually it'll evolve. We can only hope. I just wanted to talk about that tonight. It's just something I wanted to think about.